Excuse me. Excuse me. Hello?
Go. The fuck?
Listen, lady, calm yourself down, all right? Yeah, New Yorkers, I swear.
But your ass is so fucking big.
Yeah.
This stop is Church Avenue and Bedford Avenue.
There's somebody on the other end.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. So they send the perp. They send the perp. Let's look. They send the perp. Right? I tell you, these crazy religious fanatics. So the woman sitting across from me again in the red hat, she started targeting me. Right? What they will do with females, particularly European females, is that you know, she sits in front of me. She's looking at me, and then she's taking her thumb and pressing it against her pants. What's her pants? Look at this clown over there. All right there over there. Yeah. And get his ass on video. And then she looks down in between her legs. Right? Now I'll talk about this. Also, there was you know, they do this on Facebook too, where you see they'll use these European females on Facebook, you know, who will, you know, be doing selfie videos, and then they'll take the phone, and then they'll angle the phone down between their legs, and then they'll stick their tongue out, right? Yeah, you know I'm gonna get your ass on camera, buddy. So yeah, you do the three fingers, right? Look, the red hat. See, champion. That's right. Right? You got the Cubs hat on, but I call it my champion hat. Right? All right. Or I say the word courage. Okay? That's right. I don't know what you're looking at. Right? Anyhow. But this is what they do. Yep. So they were doing this on Facebook a lot lately, over the weekend. And you know, I was gonna do a video, another red vehicle. See that? Red vehicles, right? Right there. Okay, right there. And you got all that car honking, right? So you gotta listen out for the car honking, right? Again, it's morning. It's probably about minutes to 10 right now. I left the house at 9, almost a little after 9. Okay, and so it shouldn't not be this much car honking going on, but they do that when particular things are happening, right? Which is, again, like I said, it's fine. But this is what I do. I expose them. Oh, look at the postal worker coming out here. Right? And yeah, they use like I said, they use postal workers. Send me subliminal message again. Oh, you know, we're going to take away this. And look, right? What's he wearing? Like I said, they will use certain colors, and you know how they introduce certain colors, right? Like I said, the color red. Watch the video, you guys see what I'm talking about. But this is what they do. This is what they do. Look, red sweater. Right? The color red, like I said. Exposing their shit. This is what they engage in. This is what they do. Coercive persuasion programming. Right? Cognitive warfare. Mind control. Dark psychology. Oh, look, I was just talking about the dyke elephant pants man. So what do we see here? That's it. See, it's a good thing it's a reason why I do my videos, like I said. Right? Exposing the psyops. Understanding what it is that they do. And I had to show you guys the red bottle cover. Right? I have to show you guys the red bottle cover. As they had the dyke there. You know, the lesbian. Right? So again, constant manipulation of our minds, of our emotions, particularly black women. What do you got? Ice? Oh, you got the ice. You got the ice sweater on. Look. The good dude over there. Yeah, dude over right there. Yep. Anyhow, see what I'm talking about? He had the ice shirt on. The ice shirt on. Yeah. You see, one of the things that they try to do is fear, and I no longer fear because I realize what it is that they're trying to do. They're microchipping us black people in particular, right, as well as others also, but their ultimate goal is to microchip black men in particular, and using our women to do it, right, weaponizing us against each other, right, labeling us, saying that we are, you know, such and such. Again, I've talked about this many times, right? The cognitive warfare against black boys was started primarily a long time. Primarily, it's always been there, but in this more concentrated form, it started in the 1990s with the so-called Violent Initiative. And when that got exposed, you had Hillary Clinton on television talking about super predator. Now, why did she say super predators? Why did she use those terms, right? Why did she use those terms when we know who the super predators are? It isn't black men and black boys. It is white men and white boys. They are the super predators, right? You look at their history, okay? Look at the history, right? And I posted a video and some screenshots of the video. It talks about how white women, when black women used to be raped, right, in the 1920s and 1940s and 50s, how white women, even though the women asked for help, right, and particularly enslaved women also back in those days, that white women wouldn't help them, wouldn't come to their aid, because they would have to admit that their husbands, their sons, their brothers, their fathers were rapists, right? Go check the video out. Go check out that video. And what you see right now is the weaponization of black women to where they will become the concubine for white men in particular. And white men are very keen and very manipulative and deceptive into manipulating black women into believing that they are the standard, and they're not. And they're not. They've been lying to our women, and our women have been soaking it up left and right. They have been filling their head with lies and nonsense, and they believe it. They believe it. So they're going to empower black women, knowing that they're going to create a highly egotistical mindset within their psyche or their psychology, and that will become unattractive to their men. And so what you have now is that you're going to have a reduced number of children given birth. So this is why you see over the past few years, Cynthia G's talking about aborting black babies and what have you, such and such. When it's like, how about using birth control? How about that? So you wouldn't have to abort black babies. See, the one thing they're not talking about, they're talking about aborting black male babies, but they won't talk about using birth control, right? Why is that? Why is that? Wouldn't it be better to use birth control? But when your parents are not talking to you about birth control, when your parents are not talking to you about STDs and shit like that, understand that your parents are being weaponized against you, right? And again, because you are a young person, you don't understand, you don't know, right? So this is why you see a lot of parents also, particularly black parents, black mothers, they don't buy their children computers. They buy them a tablet though, an iPad, right? To make them watch YouTube all damn day, because they don't have to look after their kids. They can lock up themselves up in their room, or they can go do whatever they want to do, because guess what, the iPads are used to raise their children, just like when we were younger, television was used to raise us. But at least back then you had some shows on television. You had some black shows that were family orientated. You had comedy shows. You have the variety, and my grandnephew, little one, 5-year-old, he was like, there's no more black shows on television. And I was like, okay, where did he hear that from? Where does he hear that from? Where did he get that from? Right? So one thing they're not going to do is manipulate me into allowing you to further degrade my mind, allowing you to try to push that religious nonsense, that religious bullshit in my mind, because that's not going to work. Okay? Like I said, once you know the truth, once more and more black people wake up, your red sweater on. See? Red sweater. Tell you. Once black people start to wake up, and this is why you see the white supremacists are moving at the speed in which they're moving. Okay? Because they understand. They know that if I can right? If I can study their programming, if I can study the type of their program, their psychological program, if I know about the technology that they use, guess what? There are others that's going to be awoken to, and they have, in fact, others being awakened. Okay, and particularly, I post a lot about cognitive warfare. I sometimes I go on these YouTube channels that talk about issues with happening in the black community and with black people, and I post articles, right, on cognitive warfare, so that they can be educated, they can read about these things, because a lot of us, like I said, we get on these social media platforms and we speak on issues, but we don't understand the underlying cause, all right, or if there is cause, we just only look at some of the systemic things that people have been talking about for decades. But they're not talking about the military psyop operation within the black community, right? They're not talking about the use of religion and technology, right, to further ingrain the minds of black people who are believers, right? They're not talking about that, okay? They're not talking about silent sound spectrum. They're not talking about how radio wave and microwave frequency used for mind control. They're not talking about microchipping being developed since the 1970s to control people's behavior, right? And like I said, when I read that article on Jim Jones and the fact that, because I got it from the book called Dark Psychology by Dark Persuasion, I think, by what's his last name is Timsdale, and he said in his book, when he was doing his research, that Jim Jones was trying to warn black people that the government was creating microchips to microchip them. And how did he get that information? Because he had befriended a U.S. senator, right? And so what happened in Jamestown, Guyana, was that was a CIA operation. That was because these people knew, because they were his most loyal followers. So they knew what he was talking about, right? And a matter of fact, there was a CIA agent in that camp, because we know the CIA infiltrate a lot of things back then, a lot of organizations back then, right? So when he said about Jim Jones warning about the government created microchip to microchip black people, I was like, he's absolutely right, because of my experience of being microchipped. He was absolutely right. Okay? But we believe narratives until 50, 60 years later, then the truth comes out, right? And what we believe was not true. So you can go ahead and be believers. I'm going to stay in the known because I want to know. Right? I need to know. I have to know. I don't want to believe. I don't need to believe. You understand me? I don't need to believe, but to know. Knowledge is power. All right, talk to you guys in the next video.